A woman will know she's making a wrong decision and still do it to convince herself that it is the right one.
What you mean?
Let's say she's seeking out this man. She knows it's the wrong guy, but she's convincing herself that it's right. And then next thing you know, heartbreak, insecurities, they don't know better, right?
And you are exactly right, King Rico. Thank you. Thank you. Because at the end of the day, not only do they know that they're choosing something wrong, but in the event that everything starts to boil over, you know what I'm saying? Instead of being accountable, instead of being able to admit that they chase their lust, that they chase their desires, that they chase their wants, then they try to come for the manhood of the male. They try to come for the strength of the male. Now all of a sudden they want to talk about a real man and what he is and how weak versus strong he is and all this other different stuff. When from the top of the decision making, you were the one that was off, ma'am. You know why? Because how do you expect to get a degree but sit in somebody's class and keep doing this? How do you expect to get an A plus, but you sit in the class and do this? When Christ chose his disciples and he said, get up and follow me, they did it. Even when you think about the rich young ruler, what was the big issue with that? He could not just get up and follow. He couldn't drop everything and follow. But not only did the disciples drop everything, but they allowed Christ to teach them their own profession that they had done for years. This is where they were professional at. So what does that let you know? Christ was a true masculine man in the fact that he operated in his teaching. When a man arrives at a certain age, usually it's early 30s like Christ, or mid 30s or late 30s, he has so much knowledge in him from bumping his head in his 20s, from going through financial strides, whether it be in career, going after a degree, whatever. He finds himself and he grows stronger in knowledge. Now he's full of teaching. That zeal, that passion to teach, he needs students. His first is his woman. That's his first student. Now, by the time his children come, he really understands his purpose of life. And that's where the children gain confidence, because they see mommy and daddy together, working together. Some of these women, they get divorces all to have to just work together. I don't understand where they do that at, other than Western civilization, well, other than Babylon. Well, you'll sit up there. Someone asked me, they said, do you really just think women just get married and get divorces just to get the bag? I believe they know the law. I believe they know it better than men. And in the back of their head, they say, I'm going to make this decision that you were talking about, Rico. They say they're going to make those decisions regardless, because at the end of the day, if I got a dummy enough on my hand, I'm going to get a bag. We both might look stupid, but at least I get the bag. So intrinsically, they already know they're not the thing that's invested in. They know nothing's invested in them. It's in the child and the man, because the children comes from his loins. Family starts in his. It's one of the greatest acts of fraud and bamboozlement that you could ever imagine in life, where when men give their seed into women just to incubate it, just to grow it, so that it can push forth out of the ground, these women go and run off and rob these men of their seed and raise them and move them and do whatever they want to do with them. But they swear up and down, this is co-parenting. It ain't even biblical. It ain't even biblical. But this is another reason why they'll get all their degrees just to sit at a round table and brag about it. Because even if I talk to a raggedy dude, even if I talk to a scallywag Negro, look at me, I got 5 degrees, but you still got hood in you. You still ain't a wife. You still got a lot of things wrong with you, and you don't even understand that that's what attracted your energy to his energy, which is why with master's degrees and everything, you still talking to the little hood over there, because he's a caricature and so are you. And this is why Christ dealt with the multitudes versus the way he dealt with his disciples. And I could hear his disciples. I read in the scriptures where they ask them questions, and I feel like I can hear them laughing when they ask it. Like, why you talk to the multitude like this? You don't talk to us this way. And then he'll go right into his parable. He'll go right into, you are my bride. They're not. You are my church. They're not. It's time for men to understand who their real students are. That ain't gonna go back and forth with you. And that doesn't mean just be a wimp under a man. Woman, you have your strength. We don't want to be you. We have our strength. And you definitely don't want to be us because of what we have to carry, right? Some of y'all don't even want to take out the garbage. You'll argue over taking out the garbage. But somehow you want to be a man in other areas. The reason why you choose the state is because you feel as if, or it appears as if, they're giving you power. So as long as you get to dictate what you call co-parenting, then that's what it is. When what you have to start being able to understand is go ahead, go to the court, get your little divorce. But the same way that man was supposed to be in control in that house, in that marriage, in that family as leader, he's supposed to have the same covering even after you get your little divorce. And that's where these mugs mess up. And Rico, that's why they do what they do. Because they know regardless of the fact, they ain't going to get no accountability. They're going to get a slap on the wrist because they're overgrown children. And then while we're staying on topic, the scripture that I shared with you in Genesis 3:16, from the beginning, we already understood that at the end of the day, they don't know what they're doing. That her desires are going to be to her husband because that's why she was easily able to be beguiled. And the scriptures make it very clear. She, regardless of if Adam fell or not, the scriptures always point out in multiple places that she was tricked. He wasn't. Why was that? Because at the end of the day, they are receivers by nature. They don't just receive when it comes to their coochie. They don't just receive when it comes to their eyes. They receive, period. Spiritually natural, all the way down to the anatomy, they receive. So I often joke with some of my brothers. I say, one of the biggest things that most guys have to worry about is the woman who I kissed and said, I'm going to see you later after work. You don't even know if you're going to have that same woman when you come back home. You know why? Because cackling mama have been in her ear. Bitter girlfriends have been in her ear. People who make comments like, girl, if it was me, and blah, 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 blah. Because at the end of the day, that's the difference of a wife and some scallywag that want to do what she want to do. And so you have to know one of the biggest things in your life when Christ says that you have to suffer with me in order to reign with me, he ain't playing. You're going to have a Judas in your life too. You're going to have Pharisees in your life too. And the greatest point of your life is when you realize who those people are and you learn how to react to it. Because as a man, we saw how Christ reacted to his students, his disciples, his bride, and we saw how he reacted to his adversaries. When will we get it? That's how you move as a man.
But in my opinion, I think that they're just naive because they know the truth. They don't want to believe the truth. Just like a man, right? A man will risk it all for a woman and know it's the wrong woman.
Yes, and the key word here is naive. Because when you look at the different translations of naive, now you understand why the saying exists that nice guys finish last. Put in the word naive guys finish last because that's what it's really saying. That's the translation. And that really translates to dummy. Because that's what happens when the person who signed up for your course but wants to go back and forth with you, that's the reason why they get Fs. That's the reason why they get dropped. Because a man is really supposed to be the one in authority to be divorcing and saying, you know what, I'm not choosing this, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not doing that. But see, the reason why the government pushes monogamy, the reason why they push weddings and all this other different stuff is because it all makes them money. And they work with the churches to preach to teach the same thing to you so that by the time you go to the wedding, money. All that leading up, money. Then you get this license, money. Then you have that wedding, money. Then after the wedding, don't nobody know what to do. And this man has this expectation, but he didn't marry a wife. He married a little sister. So she's going to nag him, give him issues, turn it to several different people, wear different faces. The real mask going to come off because she got you. And so at the end of the day, a lot of times, and then when that divorce comes, money. Because people never talk about the fact that the courts don't have to grant you divorce. But they always say it's the question that you ask or don't ask. So here's the question. In what event with the courts you walk in wanting a divorce and they say we ain't giving it to you? Because now they've changed everything to where everything's tucked up under a rug called irreconcilable differences. So what that tells me is that more often than not, women are going to get their divorces because the court's going to get their bag. They carry a heavy percentage off of child support. You got the marriage license, you got the documentation for divorce, you got the birth certificate. They can reap all the benefits they want off the fruit of your marriage that came from your loins, your harvest. Can you imagine being a farmer and you don't touch none of your harvest before anybody else? You just did the work, the blood, the sweat, the tears, that's all. And that's where the downfall of men come. Because we think that we can change everybody because we have a real love in us. That's why God ordained and commanded that we love. The way we love, a lot of these women could never love. You look in the scriptures and it tells you who their father is. So a lot of times their best hope is to be linked up with a great man. But in this day and time where they've been conditioned, Disneyland programmed and everything else, they're not trying to hear that because they've chosen their master. And the scriptures clearly tell you, you're going to love one, hate the other, be devoted to the one, despise the other, but you can't love God and money. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Now pay attention to where this world has gone. Pay attention to where it is right now. Gas prices high, inflation, food hardly on the shelves in the stores. I could go on. We in a bad place. And the people that need to wake up the most are you brothers. I'm out. Bye-bye.